Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends, guys. Welcome back to our /EntitledPeople, where Karens seem to think that they rule the world and they can do what they want when they want. And in this episode, oh boy, guys, OP tells a tale about the time a psycho Karen and her son crashes her little cousin's birthday party and steals from them. And it only gets worse. Guys, I hope you enjoy the stories. Don't shake your heads too hard. And as always, you can send or link your post to this email right here. Let's dive in. So I'm quitting my job thanks to a regular Karen. Now let me tell you about this woman. Karen, this woman who comes in every day, has never once smiled or said good morning, and in general, she's been totally uncool. Yesterday she came in and she ordered 3 drinks and a sandwich, while we were starting to pick up and get busier. The other barista took the order and went to make the sandwich. I make the drinks, put them in a tray, and then called them out. She meandered for a minute and then came over to get them, saying, "Excuse me." I say to her, "Yes." And by this point, she's been very rude to me for a year. And I don't want to go out of my way. She gets minimum wage / basic service. She gets a hello, thank you, goodbye. The woman says, "I need something." I ask her, "Yes." She says, "I need you to label my drinks." I tell her they're already labeled, ma'am. And me saying that, she loses it. She then goes and starts yelling at me saying, "Let me tell you something. Every damn time I come in, you never smile. You are always like this and you never effing smile. I'm sorry you hate your job so much that you blah 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 blah." The woman goes on and on, screaming at me in front of other customers. My heart was racing and I was pissed. In the last couple of months, I've been spit on, yelled at, insulted, and more by customers, DoorDashers, and homeless people. So I let her know that she could have a great day, and I'm sorry she didn't like me. With each attempt to yell and insult me further, I just loudly repeat, "Have a great day." The woman finally wore herself out, and she went back to her SUV parked on the curb outside of our wall-sized window. She just sat for a minute, and I make another drink. The next thing I know, I look up and she's staring right at me, so I just make the next drink. I look up again, and Karen's holding her left hand up, holding a phone, and she's waving it around at me. When I didn't react, she starts aggressively pointing at her phone hand with her other hand screaming, "I'm recording your miserable ass." She was going bananas. I then point to my ear, shrugged, and let her know that I couldn't hear. Today, I'm sending in my "I'm not coming in today or ever again" text. I'm freaking out inside because I have rent to pay, bills to pay, and groceries. But I'll be damned if I ever deal with that Karen again. Guys, this post actually makes me kind of sad. Like, Opie's out there trying to make a living, and she's gotta deal with entitled bratty Karens all day, to the point where she just can't take it anymore. And seriously, I've read too many posts where Karens just harass employees for not smiling, and I absolutely hate it. Like, how do you expect someone to smile, ma'am, when all you do is come in and make their minimum wage job even harder for them? With that said though, guys, I was in a Starbucks one day and I heard a barista shut down a Karen to the point where it broke her brain. All I heard while waiting for my drink was, "Ma'am, I hope your day is as pleasant as you are." The woman just stares at the barista and was like, What does that mean? I will have a pleasant day, thank you very much." Everyone around just kind of chuckled as she left. To preface, I own a jewelry business, and at the time this took place, I was doing some promotion at a small local Celtic festival, and I was just starting out at the time. This was under my own purple 10x10 pop-up tent with attachable sidewalls, and this minor detail comes into play later. So the show is going, and I only have 2 sidewalls up to block the sun. I'm sitting behind the tables in the back, working on a custom order for a client. That's when Karen and her daughter enter. Her daughter was about 15 years old. My husband starts his typical chat and spiel with the mother. She tells him she's just looking. Karen then sees that I'm working and she starts to move the items on the table so she can lean over this 2-foot wide table to see what I'm working on. I pop my head up, lift my magnifying goggles and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, please don't rearrange my stock." Karen says to me, "Well, I can't see what you're doing." I tell her I'm working on a client's custom necklace. If you need a hand, my husband will happily assist you. Karen says, "That doesn't look hard to do. You should hire my daughter. She makes paracord bracelets." I tell the woman we're not hiring at the moment, but I will keep your suggestion in mind. That's when Karen says, "Well, she can do sales, and you shouldn't have a male working selling jewelry. That's weird." My husband, hearing that, his eyebrows go up and he rolls his eyes behind her back. The daughter then says, "Mom, I want to buy this and this," picking up a couple of pair of earrings and a necklace. Karen says, "No, sweetie, wait until you're an employee and then you can use your discount." I just say to her, "I'm sorry, but we're not hiring at the moment." And that male is my husband and business partner. Karen just huffs and she grabs her daughter by the arm and starts to walk away. I nod to my husband to chase after them to get the product back from the daughter. He comes back and we chuckle over the situation, and I thought it was over. I was wrong though, so wrong. An hour later, Karen comes back, and she says, "So I've been watching from over there, and you've sold a lot of jewelry. I can also see a lot of people walking around with your bags." I just reply, "Okay, thanks." She then goes on and says, "So listen, I think that I should be your business partner. You can make everything, and I'll sell it, and we'll split 50-50. Me hearing that, my mind went into blue screen of death mode and my jaw was on the ground. My husband says to her, "Excuse me, could you repeat that, ma'am?" Karen says, "I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to her. You have no business around women's jewelry." At that point, my brain finally reboots and I say, "I'm sorry, I'm just not looking for a business partner right now. I have one. My husband and I own this business." Karen's clearly not listening because she says, "Oh, he doesn't count. He's just your husband and I've been watching. He doesn't even do anything." I just say, "Okay, that's it." I then stand up and say, "Ma'am, I do not need or want a partner, and I'm not looking for an employee. This is a family business, so have a great day." Karen stalks off, and 10 minutes later, hubby goes off for a break. And suddenly, I can hear a ripping noise as the sidewall gets ripped off my tent. I stand up ready to defend my cash box, and it's her. The woman starts ranting at me in a high-pitched, scratchy voice. And honestly, at this point, I barely pay attention to her words. She then starts to grab at my tools while saying she can sell my stuff for me, and I need her. That my business needs her because without her, I'm nothing. I then scream for security and my husband. I then turn to her and say, "Get your effing hands off my stuff and get the F out of my booth." Security hears me, comes, and removes her from the festival. Later, comparing notes, she tried this on another booth too. Oh man, guys, Karens and their silly shenanigans, right? Give me half your business. You're nothing without me. Like, sure, they're Karen. And guys, with how she was acting, I'm willing to bet if OP did employ her or her daughter, that Karen would just come in and steal the jewelry for herself, aka get her daughter to give her 100% discounts. And guys, I've read enough of these stories to be confident about that. So for simplicity's sake, I'll call my cousin Lily. It's not her real name. Lily and I are 13 years apart, and we have a strong connection, and I love her to bits. I was there the day she was born, and we found out when she was 8 months old that she was missing a part of her brain, so she's nonverbal and physically disabled. She started having seizures when she was 11 months old, and she was also diagnosed with epilepsy, along with cerebral palsy. Even though she was physically held back, I knew she loved being around me, and toys that made music. As she grew up, she helped me realize what I want to do with my life, and that's to take care of mentally and physically disabled kids. That's what I do now, and I love it, and I really feel like it's my calling. So that's the backstory. Now to the main event. So it was her 6th birthday party, and we had it in a park because some of the people who were invited had kids that weren't disabled, so they could play in the playground. Lily, of course, can't play, so we laid out a blanket for her, and we just put some of her toys out. I played on the blanket with her to keep her company, and that's when this kid comes up and asked if he could play with one of her toys. I said yes, but not the one she's playing with. Hearing that, the kid stomps his foot, and he said, "But that's the only good one." Now mind you, this kid's like 6 years old, and the toy she was playing with was the gift I bought her for her birthday. It was a little dog piano thing, and it sings songs when she hits it. It's perfect for her. So I say to him, "Oh no, sorry, my cousin Lily's playing with it right now. You can either wait and play with one of the other toys, or you can go play on the playground with the other kids." The kid at this point throws an absolute fit, and he screams, "No! I want to play with that one, so give it to me." And then the kid tries to grab it out of Lily's hands. I said to the boy to stop trying to take her birthday present from her and tried to explain nicely to him, saying that it's not nice to take things from others, and how would he like it if I took his birthday present. The kid then runs off, and I thought that was the end of it, but cue the Karen. So a woman comes marching up to me and says, "Excuse me, my son wants to play with that toy." I say to her, "Yeah, I know. I told him that Lily's playing with it right now, and I told him that he could play with one of her other toys while he waits for her to be done." That's when Karen says, "Listen, I'm trying to teach my son to share, and if others don't share with him, he won't learn. She has other toys she can play with, so please give that toy to my son." I say to Karen, "No, he tried to take it from her, and this is her birthday present, so he can wait." And what Karen says next still makes me angry to this day. The woman says, "Well, it's not like she'd care. She isn't all there, so it won't make a difference, will it?" I just say, "Excuse me?" Karen says, "Well, she's mentally disabled, right? She won't care because she doesn't even know how to think. So it won't make a difference. She can't even walk. So come on, let my son play with that toy." So yeah, at this point, I'm shaking with rage. I say to her, "How dare you say that? She didn't choose to be like this. She was born this way. She has a rare genetic disorder. She can play with whatever toy she wants, no matter what her mental or physical state is. And you must be mentally challenged for even saying that, so please leave." So yeah, the Karen then calls me a bitch, and she actually ripped the toy out of Lily's hands. She then angrily marches to her kid in the playground, and she gave it to her kid. I got another adult to watch Lily while I go after the Karen. I just ran after her, and I ripped the toy out of her hands, and I say, "How dare you steal from a disabled child?" Karen says, "I didn't steal from anyone." I tell her, "Return the toy or I will call the police." As soon as she heard the word police, she says, "F that. You can keep this stupid toy. It's for disabled kids who don't know any better." I then say to her, "You know what? Maybe I will file a report for harassment and theft." That's when Karen tells me to go to hell. She then grabs her kid and then they ran to their car. I talked to my aunt about this and I told her what happened, and it turns out that she was just a random lady in the park with her son. She was a complete stranger, and she let her son crash our party, basically ruining it with her crappy attitude. And they even took some of our cake. We never filed anything because the lady ran to the parking lot and we didn't bother chasing after her. So now she's still out there and she will steal disabled kids' toys. So lady, if you're out there, I hope your kid gets away from you and learns to be a model citizen and respect all kinds of people. And for those of you thinking that if you were in my shoes, you would hurt this lady, trust me, I was about to break her neck. When I confronted her after she took the toy, I kind of pushed her around a few times, but I didn't actually hit her. Looking back, I wish I did. I wish I smacked her around. That's the only thing I regret. Then I would have stalked her more and gotten her license plate number. Yeah, so stories like this make my blood boil, guys. Like, some people are really the crappiest people ever. And the horrifying part of this is that that woman has kids. Like, she had a son who basically saw that it was okay to try to steal from someone. Since mom's doing it, it's gonna be okay, right? With that said though, I've said this before, guys, violence is never the answer to anything. But holy, I'm with OP on this one. Like, the moment the Karen tried to justify stealing from OP's cousin by saying it's okay because she's not all there, oh boy, I would be throwing hands at that moment. I used to be the manager at a fabric store, so I've had a lot of entitled moms come through my doors. But the most fond memory was of this lady. It was a busy day, so I was helping cut fabric when her number was called. She then sets her 2-year-old on the cut counter and her fabric right next to him. I say to her, ma'am, could you please take your child off the counter? It's actually dangerous and I need the space to cut your fabric. Karen says, but my arms are full. I say to her, if your arms are full, then there's shopping carts at the entrance. And they even have a child spot so he can sit in the cart. It's a win-win. Hearing that, she rolls her eyes and she storms off, leaving the kid and her fabric. The front really wasn't far from the counter, so I got worried when a few minutes pass by and she doesn't come back. That's when I call over the headset to my coworkers to see if anyone sees her, and nobody had. I was worried that Karen had ran out of the store and left her kid, because this wasn't the first time this has happened in the store. So I pick him up and I start to search the aisles. I found her shopping down another aisle, and I say, ma'am, I think you forgot to come back for your kid. The woman ignores me and she says, where's my fabric? I ask her, what? She says, my fabric. I told you I need 2 yards. I say to her, you left your baby on the counter, plus you have to be present while I cut the fabric. The woman says, I left him with you. You were watching him while I finished shopping. Me, absolutely baffled at this point, say, ma'am, that's not how this works. You really need to keep an eye on your own child. Before I can say anything else, she interrupts me and says, hey, you're paid to be here, right? So I'm paying your wage. Just watch him so I can get my shopping done. He's not that hard to watch. I say to her, if he's not that hard to watch, I'll just put him in your cart. How about that? At this point, I was trying to hand off her baby to her, but she was pulling her cart away from me, saying, I'll take him back when you cut my fabric and I'm done shopping. I tell her, ma'am, really, you have to watch your child. This is not a daycare. Karen just says, did you not hear what I said? I'm not finished shopping. I told you that I would take him back when my fabric is cut and ready. At this point, I was fed up, and I was in an awkward situation, so I just snapped. I turned, walked back to the cut counter, where one of my coworkers cut the 2 yards of fabric. But instead of walking it back to her, I marched to the front of the store, where we have a PA system, where I loudly used for the entire store. And I said, attention, fabric store shoppers. Would the one woman who left her baby at the cut counter please come and pick him up? We are not a daycare. Once again, would the woman who left her baby at the cut counter please come and pick him up? We're not a daycare. Thank you. You could hear a pin drop through the whole store, except the furious wheels of one shopping cart, Karen's. I've never seen someone look as red out of anger as she did. She just grabs her kid and storms through the checkout, where I smiled and told her to have a nice day. Now I know that sometimes parents walk away if they just need one thing, but please remember to not leave your kids with retail workers, because our lives are hard enough as is. And for everyone asking why I didn't call CPS, my boss was not a very nice person and didn't like making scenes to inconvenience customers. So there was no way that he would let me call the cops and fill out the paperwork after. Man, all I can say is some parents are way too trusting of strangers, guys. Like, I frickin' swear. Like, who the heck leaves a 2-year-old with someone whom they've never met? Like, are you asking for someone to come along and take your child, ma'am? Like, do you want to learn the hard way how quick it is for some psycho to come up and grab your 2-year-old and then disappear never to be seen again? But hey, shopping is more important to some people than the safety of their own babies, right? To Karens, everyone is a daycare. So my husband and I have family dinners at our house every month or so with our family. I have some sets of fine china that I like to switch out between the seasons that I've inherited from my grandmother. When we have our get-togethers, I serve dinner on these plates. My mother-in-law compliments them every time. My sister-in-law, however, has made comments to me that they're not her style. Now, I honestly didn't think twice about her comments until this past February, when one of my plates was put in the sink broken. I chalked it up to an accident. But in April, we had another dinner. This time, sister-in-law was carrying both her and her boyfriend's plates to the sink and accidentally dropped both. Again, no biggie at all. In May, she broke 2 more plates, and in June, she broke a plate and a cup. At this point, I was catching on. I brought up these concerns to my husband, and he brushed it off as accidents do happen. Now, I agree that accidents do happen, but these accidents were a little too frequent for my liking. I told my mom, and she thought the same thing. She said that she thought my sister-in-law was doing it on purpose, and she got me a camera to put in my dining room. In July, we had dinner, and I had an opportunity arise. My mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and her boyfriend joined us for dinner. While our plates were still on the table, my mother-in-law asked how my plants were doing, and I said I would show her. I told my husband to follow us outside so he could show her the plant he's growing, leaving sister-in-law alone with her boyfriend. When we come back inside 5 minutes later, her plate was broken. When they left after dinner, I pulled up the camera footage. I saw her stand up when we walked out and she peeked around the corner, and then she threw the plate on the ground. I kept this video to myself, and this brings me to this past weekend where we had our family dinner. We were joined by my in-laws, sister-in-law, and her boyfriend, as well as my parents, siblings, and niece. I served everyone, saving evil sister-in-law for last. Since she was last, I make a big show about it, and I brought her food out on a child's plate with a sippy cup. And I got those kids' silverware with the plastic handles. Sister-in-law looked at me confused, and she said, "I think you mixed my plate up with your niece's plate." At that I said, "No, niece is responsible enough to eat on a grown-up's plate. If you're gonna act like a child in my home, I'm gonna treat you like a child in my home." I said that while sweetly staring at her. She tried to play coy, but I had my iPad ready, and I played the video for the whole family to see, the whole table. Sister-in-law immediately starts sobbing. She threw a tantrum, swiped the kids' plate off the table, and she stormed out. My in-laws both apologized and offered to pay for replacement plates, but I told them not to worry about it. Despite this, we still had a nice time. When everyone left, my husband told me that I was out of line and cruel, but I told him this has been happening for months, and I've told him it's been bothering me multiple times. It's Wednesday, and he's still being a little cold to me. And I also got a text from my sister-in-law's boyfriend asking if I would apologize to her because, quote, "I really embarrassed her." I just sent him the video again, and he left me on red. My husband just called me to ask if I was taunting her boyfriend because his sister called him crying, that I was, and that I should apologize. I won't, so am I the a-hole? Guys, I personally don't think that OP is an a-hole at all, and sister-in-law definitely deserved to be exposed because how many other plates was she gonna break? And guys, it's one thing to not like someone's dinner plates, but to go out of your way to on purpose break them, plates that OP said she inherited from her grandma. Yeah, I'm on OP's team all the way on this one. Sister-in-law can cry all she wants, guys. No apology. OP did come into the comments and said, "I do feel bad that I embarrassed her. I spoke with her mom today, and she and father-in-law have my back, and said that I should demand her to pay for the plates. And if she doesn't, they would. But I'm not gonna make anyone do that. I got them from my grandma, so they were special to me. Money can't help the sadness of not having them back." And guys, I'm with this person right here who comments, "A grown-ass woman acting like a petulant toddler doesn't deserve sympathy. She destroyed something you cared about because she didn't like eating off a plate that wasn't her style. You already displayed the patience of a saint. But guys, let me know what you would do if you're in OP's shoes. You know, normal dinner plates I might let slide, but as OP said, irreplaceable dinner plates that she inherited from her grandma can't be replaced. Send sister-in-law straight to jail for that one. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our slash entitled people. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories today. I hope you didn't shake your heads too hard. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's in our slash malicious compliance episode, where OP teaches his psycho boss a lesson he won't forget. Guys, go check it out if you haven't. And myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.